Welcome back to the 4th&40 podcast presented by Dorm Room Sports. This week, we have a few announcements to hand out as we have had a change in our cast who will be on the show, who will be speaking, and what has gone on in the past week or so. But first, we want to make sure that you go ahead and follow us on our TikTok and Twitter at 4th&40 Pod. And also, if you would like to send in a question or have something you would like to hear on the show, please go ahead and send us an email at the email will be in the description. What has happened in the last week has been Dave has been going through a few personal things, and he is going to step away from the show for a little bit to take some time for himself that he needs. And because of this, Jake and David were more connected with him than any of us. So we went back to the original idea of just having me, Rug, and Mark, the original three friends, basically go ahead and carry on this podcast. And we will be continuing to basically do the same thing. Continue to bring you a lot of football talk. We will it'll probably be a little less scripted on a day-to-day basis, but we will still be bringing you more of the same of exactly what we've been.
Yeah, we're Jake, David, and Dave did a great job, and we enjoyed having them on the show. But we're excited for what's going to come. It's going to be, like Zach said, it's going to be a lot less scripted and a little bit more. Not that we would plan out exactly what we would say, but we can be a little more informal. We can go a little deeper into our opinions, have more debates, since there's half the number of people who are on the air. So I'm really excited on what we're going to bring going forward, and I think we got a great show planned today.
Mark?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun dynamic. I know all three of us are really close friends personally, so I mean, we don't want to rule anything out. Maybe a couple of those guys make a return in the future. You never know.
They might be back just for guest appearances. I mean, they're Philly fans, Dallas fans. I mean, we're gonna have good. I mean, after the Philly Dallas game, they could be back on. You know, I mean, just stuff like that to talk. I mean, we enjoyed having them on there. Nothing personal against those guys. Just like with Luke, nothing personal there.
Yeah, we can just shit on the Cowboys and Eagles whenever we want now, with
Yeah.
no contest from them. So that'll be a lot of fun. I mean, I'll certainly handle the Redskins bashing. So the NFC East will be fully covered as well. And I'm excited for the football debates in general, because honestly, us three arguing about football can take up an hour just off random little topics. So that's not going to change much at all.
Now that it's just me, Rug, and Mark, there will be like more gambling talk on a weekly basis. Not that I gamble, I do not gamble, but I make picks.
Well, I am
Mark,
a degenerate gambler,
yeah, Mark
so
and Rug throw around a ton of money on a weekly basis, and you'll hear a little bit about that today. But we'll be able to talk. We're going to talk a few more other sports. We're going to bring in with sports starting to return and other topics coming up. We're gonna bring in more topics, maybe not necessarily exactly football, but we'll relate them back to football in most cases. And we're going to do a lot of things like when baseball returns, we'll probably talk about what we picked for baseball. I mean, Rug's huge into baseball. So that's probably, we're just going to go all around just to keep everyone. Yeah.
Everything, some
Yeah.
NBA. We'll even mention the golf every now and then. I mean, look, we love football. This is a football podcast. When you turn on this podcast, you'll be hearing 80-90% football talk. But let's be honest, no one cares about the third string defensive lineman on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to talk about big stories in sports that people care about. And I think it's going to be the right move. And with COVID going on, there's a lot of topics. All the sports are integrating with each other more than ever. COVID and politics is integrating with sports more than ever. So we're just going to cover things from a larger scope.
And that being said, we are going to go the new four downs. What was four downs will now be called the rundown, where since it's only three of us, there's no four downs to it. So we're just gonna do the same thing where we talk about something this week that may be influencing sports. And I'm gonna start off, and my topic for the rundown this week is ever since a lot of the riots and a lot of things that Florida opened up very fast and coronavirus, the cases have been spiking in the last week, and with the NBA and MLS going down there and basically making it their headquarters for the rest of the season, it's really interesting to see what will happen with. They're going to try to create a bubble, but there's a ton of people that are involved in keeping everything running. The janitors, I mean, everyone that's involved with keeping these places up to date, clean, and everything. There's a lot this with the cases spiking. Who knows what exactly is going to happen down there and how it's going to go. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. And it's just another proof that this hasn't gone away, and it's still very prevalent, and it's in our day-to-day lives. And it's not going anywhere until there will be a vaccine. And it's just going to be really interesting to see how the guinea pigs, basically the NBA and MLS, are going to handle what happens. I think they're going to set a lot of standards across of sports on what happens when someone gets infected, when they test positive. I mean, I think they're going to be the first ones, even though they are creating a bubble, a quote unquote bubble, but we'll see how it goes. Mark?
Yeah, before I give you my 4 down topic, I kind of want to just piggyback on what you said. I mean, a lot of these sports are already fighting an uphill battle with the NBA. A lot of players don't want to go down to Florida to begin with because you have to have so much testing. And I read a little bit about the agreement that they had agreed upon, and their families can't go down to visit them until after a month after play resumes. It's wild. And I don't know what's going on with MLB, whether it's the players that are being greedy or whether it's the owners. But a lot has to go right for these sports even to get back up. And with the cases going up, it's just crazy. I don't know if I don't even know if we're going to get sports until the fall. Maybe not even until next year.
I mean, there's two facets of it. There's the health protocol side, which is what kind of Zach's focusing on. MLB's labor deal is a totally different issue. They haven't even gotten to the health protocols, but regarding the NBA in Florida and MLS in Florida, if you have everyone in the league in one area and that area spikes, it's a good question. What's going to happen? Because then the odds are you're going to have more players test. I mean, what we talked about this a couple weeks ago for the NFL, but what happens if the NBA Finals is coming up and LeBron James gets COVID? I mean, are they going to play that game? I mean, heck no, they are. I mean, he's half the league. I mean, for God's sake. So it's really, especially in a sport like the NBA where it's so star driven. If one star gets COVID, they got to shut shit down, and it's going to throw the schedule off. They got to quarantine, and it's going to happen in every sport. But if Florida is actually spiking now, is their positive test rate's been about 5 to 7% the last couple of weeks when it was below 1 or 2% a couple weeks before that. So maybe it'll make the NBA look better for waiting until August to come back and play there because they've gotten some criticism for it in some circles. But it's going to be, like Zach said, this is unprecedented. It's unpredictable, and who knows what could happen.
Maybe this is me being selfish, but I need the NBA to come back as soon as possible because, like I said, they're going to be the guinea pigs for all the other sports. Because, like, golf, you can't compare it to golf, NASCAR. You can't compare it to sports that are already back.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Because they're going to have to they're going to basically set the precedent for what happens when someone gets infected or how it works or like.
Do you think they're going to have a player that gets infected first? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt someone's going to test positive when they're down there. It's just I want to see what they do.
You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You can't start, stop. Once you start it, you have to go until the end of the season. And with the pause that happened in the middle of the season anyway, is this whoever wins the championship year, is there going to be an asterisk by it?
Yes, this is an asterisk year for every sport.
Well, we know if LeBron wins it, there'll be no asterisk because Queen LeBron, he can do no wrong in some circles.
Yeah, but this is, in my opinion, they said it on part of my take this week. Every sporting event, this has an asterisk next to. Every major sporting event, there's for a win.
Hey, if the Washington Wizards win it all this year, I'm not seeing an asterisk at all. I'm fully all in on it.
It's a joke that they're even in the playoffs. They're like 10 games under 500.
They're not in the playoffs. They have to play. No, they're not in the playoffs. They have to win. They basically have to win out.
I know they have to win and they're in, but it's just sad that that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. Like the NBA decided that we have 16 teams make the playoffs. Let's make it even more competitive. What's it? 22 teams? 24? I don't even remember.
Yeah, but it was.
I think the NHL did the same thing. I think they're up to 20 teams out of 30.
The way they did it, though,
from
what I saw, the way they did it, the Wizards are going to have to play. The schedule the Wizards have to play are basically the top teams in the NBA. So they're giving everyone in the NBA basically rust break off, like just take the rust off games. Like the likelihood the playoff spots even move is pretty small. So
from what the Wizards are saying is they're not even going to play John Wall. I don't understand. Supposedly he's saying he could play right now, but I guess they're just trying to throw. I don't understand. If you have a chance at the playoffs,
they don't. They're going to play the best teams in the league and lose. They're going to play the best teams in the league. They're going to lose. If they lose 2 games, Mark, they're out.
Yeah, Zach's probably right. And we're going to get to this later, and we talk more about some NBA players looking to sit out. But it's a good question.
Yeah. We got a little off topic. Let me get back to my rundown topic. I want to talk about Mitch Trubisky, and I want to kind of ask you guys, how much crack do you think he's smoking because he thinks the Bears are still his team? I don't know what fantasy land he's living in, but he's not a good quarterback. He's going to get his 5th-year option declined, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's out of the league in a year or 2.
I think Mitch is on the the Josh Gordon supply line because I don't know what the fuck. What world was it his team?
Yeah, well, like Jeremy Macklin
there's
said, it's Nick Foles' show. Like,
How much of a? I mean, seriously, he's literally like, he's actually going to be the backup now. But even as a starter, he was the team's bitch. Whenever they lost, it was his fault. He just got carried by the defense. Every pass that he completed was a schemed open throw or a curl route. I mean, even if he did something good, no one even gave him credit.
Well, I don't even think
Like I think being a back will be better.
I don't even think Nick Foles is good because every time he's in a starting position where he gets an opportunity to start, he's always terrible. He's only good when he's a backup quarterback.
Well, he barely played last season. Though.
So are you advocating for Mitch Trubisky here, Mark?
I'm not advocating for either. They both suck.
No, but come on, hold on. You can't put those two in the same sentence. Nick Foles is a Super Bowl
champion. I think Nick Foles is better, but I think they both are terrible.
Terrible?
I mean, I agree. I don't think Nick Foles is better than the 20th best QB in the league.
I think there's a reason they just traded him in Chicago, and they're playing what's his name, Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew's
well, we'll see what Minshew Magic does this season, but I'm gonna go ahead at my 4 downs topic. And if speaking of garbage quarterbacks, Mitchell Trubisky's still trying at football, but this guy Christian Hackenberg is not. He was atrocious with the Jets as they took him in the second round for some dumb reason. He was good at Penn State, but he's decided he's going to go play baseball, following in the great footsteps of Michael Jordan and Tim Tebow. So I figured, just to laugh at Christian as he failed at football, and he's probably going to fail at baseball too, I figured I'd share his high school stats for you as a pitcher. He threw 25 2/3 innings, struck out 33 batters. He walked 40 guys. He hit 5 people, and he had a 7.36 ERA. And this is in high school.
Yeah.
Like, for his reference, Tim Tebow hit like 450 in high school, and he can't do anything in Double-A right now. So Christian Hackenberg, I think he's going to try and be even worse at baseball than he was at football.
But let's not shit on Tim Tebow. Double-A is not easy baseball. Double-A is you're getting up there. Double-A, once you make it out of that single-A, you're into real baseball. I mean you're in.
He only went to Double-A though because he's going to draw more. They probably have a bigger stadium.
Yes, correct. Yes, there is some politics.
So it's not like he made it out of single-A. Yeah. I mean, come on now. He didn't go to single-A. Like it's not like they sent him to rookie ball and he tore it up and they put him up to Double-A.
Yeah, but when you were telling me this, I was really confused on. There's no minor league season this year, so. Is this like happening now or?
Oh, this is definitely a long term, like I need a headline because there's not going to be any minor leagues. I think the Cape Cod League up in the Northeast not going to play for the first time ever. There's going to be no short season ball. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, the minor leagues were already.
I mean, I can tell you from the only college baseball summer leagues or like for like the top players to get drafted, like where they do a lot of their scouting out of, the only one that is playing. Or the top 2 that are playing is the Northwoods League and the Coastal Plains League. And with the Cape Cod not playing, those 2 leagues are going to be really competitive. But it's just, I mean, there's no minor league baseball. The draft was small this year. I don't know what Christian Hackenberg thinks is going to happen. I don't know where he thinks he's getting picked up. But I mean, maybe he will.
Yeah, maybe he can give Mitch Trubisky a call and they can talk about how shitty their careers were.
I don't know.
That's the only thing that's going to be happening.
I don't even know why he left Penn State so early. Everyone knew he wasn't ready to come out.
Yeah, the fact that he went as high as he did, I mean, I remember saying it when he did. It was a joke.
He was a good QB, though.
Couldn't process information. Yeah, he was good at Penn State.
Situation. Paxton Lynch shouldn't have got drafted that high either.
Dude.
And he's even worse than Paxton Lynch because I think he's less mobile.
Yeah, I think this year was the first year where QBs dropped like that. Usually there's always QBs that go higher than what they should. I mean, Jalen Hurts went higher than what he should, but usually there's
I don't know. I thought Justin Herbert went higher than he should. I thought Jordan Love went higher than he should. I think QBs were in high demand as always. I mean, then again, to be fair, I'm always lower. I always am lower on QBs going high sometimes. I understand the logic of taking a shot at a QB because of how valuable the position is, but I think a lot of the QBs went where they should have gone this year.
Well, I think a lot of teams are buying into the analytical model. You keep drafting guys, keep drafting quarterbacks until you find your Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to go, especially with the rookie contract. I've said that multiple
times. And actually, I think it's the best time in the NFL that it's ever been for quarterbacks. There's so many good quarterbacks right now compared to years past.
Is Cam Newton still a free agent? He is, right?
He is. He was just working out with Odell actually a couple days ago.
Mark made a great point because these offenses are so much more college friendly. It just gives an opportunity for more quarterbacks who are just really athletic and really smart too, but maybe didn't go to college playing in a pro style offense to make seamless transitions to the NFL. and it's great for the league. Which is back to my theory about recycling quarterbacks, why I think it could work instead of paying a guy $30 million a year.
Hey,
I think
I'm all the way. I'm with you
yeah.
on that.
Everyone here has been with you on that. We all agree. It's just not going to happen. Like Dave would talk about all the time. You can't. Most fans don't understand analytics, and you can't justify it to the fan base. And at the end of the day,
there's no stats. There's no real analytics on it because nobody's ever tried.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Most fans don't understand analytics. Analytics in football isn't rocket science.
Yeah, but I don't think most fans look at it like that. Like if the Cowboys were just to give away Dak Prescott and be like he hasn't really won, and we're gonna go draft guys, I think everyone would be pissed. And that's what Dave's big argument was. You can't just piss him away.
Well, they could have drafted Jordan Love this year, let Dak Prescott hit the market next year, get a third-round comp pick, and draft another quarterback next year. Keep drafting quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I'm all for with
it's
that.
something to
I'm all with
examine
that.
a little
I've said
bit
it from
more
the start.
in the future.
I'm 100% for them.
It's just about it working in practice, because in reality, if you have a guy the fans love, but that's the goal then, is to eventually find a guy who's actually a Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes, and then you pay him and you go all in. Because I think the top 5 QBs are worth that money.
Yeah, but the question I think there is, where do you settle at? When do you stop looking?
Well, I think there's
question.
even a debate to be had that Patrick Mahomes isn't as good as everyone thinks he is because of all the talent around him.
What?
Whoa.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's a god, but he hasn't been put in the Russell Wilson situation where his team's defense heavy and he has to do everything himself. That's all I'm saying.
Love to hear that.
That's the only argument I'm making.
I mean, I guess I get what you're saying, but he's still the best QB in football regardless. I mean, Russell Wilson, you can definitely make an argument for because of the load he carries. He's definitely in a worse situation than Patrick Mahomes, and having Andy Reid around him is important. But Patrick Mahomes' overall skill set, his ability to make the big play, and his consistency from play to play to not make a lot of turnover-worthy plays, as PFF describes it as, is just incredible.
Well, he was disappointing for me in the Super Bowl. He did not play as well as he should have.
Disappointing? He won the fucking Super
He won
Bowl.
the game, but
what were your
he didn't look
expectations?
as good as I thought he should.
It's the Super Bowl against one of the best pass
Yeah,
rushes
a win's
in
a
NFL
win,
in the last
but
5 years.
he played disappointingly in my eyes.
It's just funny. He played disappointing, but Dwayne Haskins had 2 good games at the end of last season.
Well, they're not even in the same tier of quarterback, so that's just ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just making sure you understand the level of disappointment, and when you say that, relatively what you actually mean.
Yeah, I'm meaning Patrick Mahomes is easily number 1 or number 2, not even a debate. Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes, and I think Patrick Mahomes is number 1. I'm just kind of using an argument that some people could make that he's had the offensive weapons his entire career so far. I want to see what he can do without them.
Well, if we're talking about load management, if we're talking about carrying the load, I look at Lamar Jackson carried a big load last year, and you don't give him any credit for that.
Well, he also had a very good offensive line, a couple good receivers.
Yeah, but if you look at the names around him, he makes all of them better. He makes that system go. Ronnie Stanley had a great season. He's a top left tackle. Marshall Yanda, of course, top right guard. But you couldn't even name the Ravens. Like Patrick McCarry, an undrafted free agent, was playing center most of the year. And Matt Skura before that. Left guard, they have a Rando. Right guard, Rando. Guys like you wouldn't even think about. Bradley Bozeman.
That's why I think Lamar is
guys
good.
you don't even.
Well, I also think people got caught up in the flashy plays. I don't think Lamar's numbers were as good as MVP candidate.
I mean, led the league in touchdown passes, and I think he had over 10 rushing touchdowns. He rushed for over. He set the quarterback rushing record. I think he only threw like 4 or 5 picks, something really low. His season was just statistically dominant.
Yeah.
He literally didn't even have to play fourth quarters for, I think, 3 or 4 different games. I don't know what more he could have done.
Yeah. Well, there's also an argument to be made that he didn't play anybody in his own division. Cincinnati had the first overall pick. Big Ben missed both divisional games last year.
He also swept the NFC West, the best division in football last year.
Yeah, it's a good counterpoint.
But anyway, it's the quarterback debates, and we're gonna try and get to our top 5 QBs at the end of the show. But we also this weekend with sports returning, and Zach, sorry to take your job there for a second, but we're gonna do, as we said, we're talking about more gambling. We want to look at Rookie of the Year odds. And I think there were some really offensive Rookie of the Year specifically. And I'm going to read a couple, and you guys tell me what you think, if you like them. And good value, bad value, right in the middle. So Joe Burrow, plus 200.
Wanker.
I think that's bad value, to be honest. I don't think Joe Burrow.
Too high for me.
I don't think Joe Burrow is going to win Rookie of the Year.
Horrible value.
And it's and we love I love Joe Burrow. We all love Joe Burrow.
He's
but
not on a winning team.
It's just you're not laying plus
Yeah.
200. That's just for this many. When you have that many guys as an option, and he's going to be in a division that tough, and with other QBs that are going to start, it's just not worth it. It's not even. It's a ridiculously high. I mean, they're only laying as I know people are
Yeah.
going to lay money on him, but this next one is crazy to me. DeAndre Swift is plus 850.
I'm also not betting any money on that ever.
I think that was one of the worst picks in the entire draft, taking DeAndre Swift to the top of the second round. Just a complete waste. I mean, unless he becomes a superstar at running back, even if he does, I'd rather take a shot at a more valuable position.
I already told you I'm taking a shot on this.
Yeah, I don't know why Detroit's offensive line's atrocious.
Kerryon Johnson's not going anywhere. I still think he's a young, talented running back. I think they still got both.
I may take that back. I don't think.
It doesn't make any sense. It was a stupid pick.
I think I'm taking that back.
Then Tua at plus 900. I'm staying away from this.
I like this if he plays the entire year, but I'm probably not going to throw money on it either way. But I could see why some people would take it.
That offensive line is still terrible.
It's terrible, but it's going to be way better than it was last year. It has 3 new starters.
But that's not saying much, though. They're new starters, but I don't think they're actually quality.
That's the thing.
So this one I like next. Jonathan Taylor plus 950.
I also like that, but it's not the one I'm going to be taking.
It's not my favorite one, but I think that Colts offensive line is going to be great. Marlon Mack's nothing to write home about. Phillip Rivers' offenses routinely have multiple productive running backs. I could definitely see Jonathan Taylor helping in the passing game. Dude does a great job breaking tackles. I think he's going to thrive in Indy. And I don't love taking running backs in the second round, but I think it's a decent value.
The next one you're going to name is actually going to be my pick.
Yeah, me too. Clyde Edwards-Helaire plus 1,000. I love it. I predicted he'd go to the Chiefs at 32. That he is going to thrive in Andy Reid. Andy Reid is such a good screen guy.
Yeah, but is Damian Williams still there?
He's going to catch so many screens.
Well, we saw what Kareem Hunt did before he decided to beat on females.
Damian Williams in the last year of his contract, but you know what? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, there's going to be plenty of room.
Yeah, there will be, but
touches.
I think Andy Reid's going to get creative in that backfield. I think you're going to see some weird sets back there. And it'll give Patrick.
But think about it though. They invested.
Yeah, but if he's not getting first round reps, if he's not getting first team reps, it's hard to say that he's going to go win.
But you can make that argument with Jonathan Taylor at plus 950 with Marlon Mack there and DeAndre Swift.
But like you said, there's a lot more of a track record with Phillip Rivers having 2 good running backs in that backfield.
That's true. I mean, look, but I think when you get to plus 1,000, and for a guy that Andy Reid is going to thrive in using, with how much the Chiefs throw, how much RPO they run. Edwards-Helaire literally ran the same type of offense.
No, and that's why they drafted him.
Mahomes is going to run around and flip it to him. I think he's going to just dominate. Plus, that's my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm a huge Clyde Edwards-Helaire guy. Dude, just like a muscle hamster, just so fun to watch.
Well, that's not mine.
That's the one I like a lot.
That's not mine.
We'll do a couple more to get these 2 big receivers, and then we'll call it. So CeeDee Lamb is plus 1,200.
That's where I'm at.
You like CeeDee Lamb?
I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, I think the value there is really good, and I think
there's just too many bodies for him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, so I don't like that.
I think it's a good value too. I think it depends where he lines up.
If you look at Rookie of the Year though, it comes down to a lot of stats, and his run after the catch is so good. That's where he's going to get I think he's going to get a ton of stats. They're going to run drags. They're going to run him across the field. If he catches the ball and gains 20 yards, I mean. His run after
I just don't like it.
They got to run him out of the slot. That's the
another
question.
reason purely why I don't like it is because wide receivers just never win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's always running backs.
Yes, that's the problem.
I think I agree with that. It's rookie. It takes receivers and tight ends a little longer. I love CeeDee Lamb. I thought he was the best receiver in the draft. As Zach said, he's amazing after the catch. His ball skills are fantastic. His time from catch to run after the catch is one of the best I've seen. But I think. Plus 1,200 is just a little bit low for a receiver because, like Mark said, they don't win a ton, and he's going to crowded offense. So unless you're relying on Amari getting hurt or slowing down, or Michael Gallup taking a step back, I mean, I know their tight end position isn't great, so that you can make the argument there's some stuff there, but they also have a good running game. I just don't think there's enough there for CeeDee Lamb for me to lay the number at plus 1,200. I think it'd have to be like the plus 1,800 range. And speaking of other odds, with other receivers on this list, he's not the guy I would take.
Really?
I take Jerry Jeudy
Yeah,
over him.
I agree. I would take Jeudy before Lamb as well at plus 1,200 because I think Drew Lock, when you have a young quarterback like Drew Lock, he's going to force feed a guy he trusts. And Jerry Jeudy is so easy to build a rapport with how good of a route runner he is, how good he is at creating separation. The Broncos, look, we've both talked about it on this show. We're high on the Broncos. I think they have a chance to break out this season. They put Drew Lock in a position to be successful with Melvin Gordon and KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. And plus 1,200 for a receiver. Judy's as polished as it comes. I think this is a great value, right up there with Allaire, someone I would consider taking as well.
I agree with that.
I think the Broncos are going to be neck and neck with the Steelers all year for that wild card spot.
But the reason why
I think there's room for both. Yeah. But the Steelers are definitely going to be better than the Broncos. I think they're in a their Broncos should still be a year away. But all right, so next one I'm going to do. Zach, did you want to say
something?
The
reason why I say CeeDee Lamb over Jeudy is for the pure fact that I trust Dallas's. We're talking about beginning. You have to lay these before the season starts, and going into season, I think Cowboys' offense looks a little more poised to be explosive this year, especially with their schedule than the Broncos do, and that gives me a little bit more room just because of that explosive potential. I think you have CeeDee Lamb potentially getting more stats than Jeudy. Obviously depending on how well Drew Lock.
But do you think that in pure pass attempts, would you think Dallas? I mean, that's a good question because I've in the past having receivers in Mike McCarthy offenses has actually been a detriment. People have thought he slowed them down. So is Kellen Moore going to still have his fingerprint on the offense board? Because if he does, I think that bodes well for CeeDee.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, I wish we could get Rob Davis on here to talk about it, but you just don't.
Yeah, that's for sure. He would definitely shed some light, but. Next one, we'll do another receiver here, and then we'll wrap it up with a running back. So Henry Ruggs is plus 1,800.
Wow.
And I like the value. That's definitely one I like too because John Gruden loves his number one receivers. John Gruden is going to try and use Ruggs. I think Ruggs is more than just a speed demon. I think he's going to be better than John Ross. Derek Carr. My only worry with Ruggs is Derek Carr is a little passive sometimes. He needs to see a guy with good separation. So I hope he's going to take those shots at Ruggs, especially down the seam and on those streak routes and those post routes. But I think because of how willing Gruden is going to be use them and how good they are underneath with Renfro and Darren Waller and how good their running game is, Ruggs is going to have his opportunities.
I think with how high these odds are, I think you can make the argument that you you pick like 4 or 5 of these guys at the plus 1,000 or maybe even Jonathan Taylor at the plus 850. And you cover your money on the way back.
No, that's not. We're not high enough for that because if you can't, if you're doing, I would say you got to be at least plus 2,000 before you start saying I'm going to take 4 or 5 guys. Like especially Swift at plus 850. I think anytime you're below plus 1,500, you gotta take someone that's going to have that you need to believe in them specifically.
I mean, you take 3 of these wide receivers at plus 1,000, thinking that this might be receivers year, and then you're covered your ass if you really believe in the receivers. Depending on who.
If I'm putting money on any of these guys below 2,000, it's gonna be Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tua for me.
I think J.K. Dobbins at plus 2,000 is a shot because I think if Mark Ingram keeps aging and
that's where I was going.
If Mark Ingram gets hurt, J.K. Dobbins is going to dominate because the Ravens. He's a good player. The Ravens. You can put any running back with Lamar. They're going to put up numbers. And even if Ingram's healthy, you could make the case that Dobbins, because we talked about all these other guys are in offenses with other running backs, but the Ravens rushing offense is going to be the best in football. The question is Lamar going to function yardage wise as another running back and take a lot of those yards? That's why Dobbins is lower. And then one more I want to talk about is Jalen Reagor at plus 2,800. I love his fit in the Eagles offense. I think he was one of my favorite receivers coming into the draft because basically his shortcomings at TCU were not his fault. I saw a stat, I think at 60%, only 60% of the passes thrown to him were catchable. So I think he, with the fit in that Eagles RPO offense as a kind of a deep threat with other guys and a lot of other speed in that offense, he could be if it's the year receivers, I think he can be right up there.
I agree with everything you said, but it's to the same point I said earlier. It's receiver, even CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. I'm just not betting receiver for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no, I would say the only 2 guys I would actually take on this list were Allaire J.K. Dobbins, and I think if I'm betting a receiver, it's Jerry Jeudy. I think after that, it's going to be hard for me to take another receiver because, like you said, it is a rarity for them to win
I'm taking
Offensive
I'm
Rookie of the
taking
Year.
Dobbins. I'm taking
I'm not
Dobbins
even
all the
sure
way.
if it's ever happened, to be honest. I don't know
Yeah.
if
I'm sure it's. I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure. I'll bet it's happened a couple
Yeah.
times.
I mean, it'd be hard to think that
But
didn't happen. But I think this just because of how diverse the backfields are around the NFL now, I think it opens the door for receivers if you're willing to lay it. I think, but Dobbins, I think he's in the biggest spot where like if Mark Ingram even regresses a little bit, I think Dobbins is a really good running back, and in that offense, I think with how much they do run the ball, he's got a chance to post stats.
he's a perfect fit for the Ravens
Mhm.
offense. He was so good at Ohio State, and that kind of read option, that quick cut, make that one defender who comes barreling into the backfield.
Mhm.
He can shake off that guy? He's going to thrive with the Ravens. And my rant about him being the second round pick was more anti running back in general than about him specifically.
The next thing I want to get into is kind of we touched on it with the NBA in Florida, but are sports in trouble right now with baseball can't come to an agreement. Those it's getting insane between
It's a
Manfred and the players.
disaster.
The MLBPA hates the MLB. I mean, they can't stand each other. Now it's coming out that like there was a call with Kyrie Irving, the top figures in the NBA, all were on a call, or most of them were on a call, and Kyrie Irving, the vice president of the NBA's Players Association, elected by the players, basically voiced.
How did that happen? First of all, how the fuck did Kyrie Irving become the vice president of anything? That's a great.
well, he did go to Duke University, so we know he's a smart guy.
Oh, bullshit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what, he played 8 games at Duke at most? He missed that whole season.
Hey, well, he has my loyalty. He's a Dookie.
Well, anyways, Kyrie Irving decided he wanted to voice his discomfort over going down to Orlando and being placed in this bubble, partially because of what's going on with the protests and Black Lives Matter, and he just feels a little bit of discomfort with that, which you can't blame him. But also part because when these what's being more and more revealed about what's going on with how it's going to work when they get down there, they can't see their family, they can't leave, they can't really do anything. And I think they're getting a little. It sounded great at the beginning, like, oh yeah, we get to play, but now it's reality. Like, you're not going to see anyone for a month.
It's just unsettling time. I mean, Dwight Howard even said basketball isn't needed at the moment, and I don't know if he's saying that because of COVID, if he's saying that because of what's been going on with the protests and everything. It's a good question, but regardless, it's going to make an impact if a lot of guys aren't all in on playing. Is the season going to have an asterisk next to it? I mean, there's a lot to this because on one hand, if Kyrie's saying, he actually made a quote. He said there's only 20 guys getting paid, and I'm part of that. But let's not pretend there's not a tiered system to purposely divide all of us. So is that a shot from the NBA PA to the owners? Because all we hear about is how harmonious the relationship is between the NBA PA and the owners. But now the vice president of the Players Association is saying that the system might not be in the NBA is not fair to players who
I'm
don't make as
sorry.
much, which I
I
don't
have to speak
agree with
up
that.
here. I mean, this is just complete bullshit. The NBA is the most player-driven league of any sports league in
100%.
all of the United States. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, come on. Normally, I'm pro player all the way, but this is total bullshit.
Yeah, when it comes to the NBA having a tiered system and their financials and how the money's split, NBA players have more power than any other players in any other league. They're more impactful. It's a star-driven league. People care about stars, not teams. That's just the way it is, and that's fine. But for the players to make an argument about, oh, we think it's a tiered system. When the NBA's TV contract went up, the salary cap exploded. You had random guys getting huge contracts. So I mean that's one side, but the other side too is some of these guys saying that basketball isn't needed. If they're referring to what's going on with the process and everything, I respect people wanting to make change and create change, but if you went to your employer, if you're an everyday person, you went to your employer said I don't want to work for the next few months, well, you're not keeping your job, but the NBA players will keep their jobs. So that's kind of in my opinion, that's a bad look for them to go say that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a slap in the face of anything to the movement.
But if Pat Beverly said, Pat Beverly said it best. He said LeBron's going to play, so people are going to play. So the standard is still they're going to play. There's just a few guys like Matt Barnes, former NBA player, mentioned that people might not play. So that's kind of a look at the NBA and kind of what's going on with that. As Zach alluded to with baseball, I mean, really, it's really about just what a disaster these negotiations are. I mean, essentially, back in March, there was an agreement reached that if there was fans in the stands, the players would get full prorated salary. Prorated just means they get paid a proportion to a 162 game season, a full proportion, assuming full revenue, fans in the stands. And basically, there's a disagreement over the language of that initial agreement back in, I think it was back in March. So the players think that they're entitled to full prorated salaries. The owners think that they're
we all
not.
know
according to
that
language.
a full regular season is not going to happen at this point. And I believe the last offer was 89 games for 75% of their salary, so they're getting paid 75% for less than half.
75% of the
prorated.
prorated.
Well, no. Yeah, so exactly. So it's confusing because the prorated means that they get the full salary with proportioned to 89 games. But but they don't deserve that because that assumes a full fans in the stands, a regular situation. So here's where they're angry. So they think they're entitled to that, but they're really not because there's not going to be fans in the stands. But the players do have a valid argument in the sense that the owners they're projecting 2.75 billion in revenue, but the players are saying, how are you coming to that number? We want to see more documentation. And it actually dropped that Turner Sports is giving baseball $1 billion a year starting in 2022. So this comes after a couple MLB owners were saying how poor their teams were. Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals owner, said that baseball wasn't profitable, which is kind of hard to say. The players said, you guys are full of shit. The league pulled in 10.7 billion in revenue, second to all sports except for the NFL. Higher than the NBA, which people don't realize.
Was the revenue shared like it is in the NFL?
So that's a good point. So it's not. So here's another thing about these negotiations is the owners want revenue sharing because some teams like the Marlins and Rays, they're gonna lose money. Some of these lower tier teams, this happens in every sport. Some of the teams that are lower tier, less profit, are gonna lose some money. But the players don't want revenue sharing. And the reason they don't want revenue sharing is because when the Yankees and Red Sox sign those big contracts, they reset the market for everybody else. So the players don't want a luxury, or they don't want a cap. They don't want revenue sharing. I mean, really, the players just want one thing, and that's fully prorated salaries.
And this is why the NFL is far superior to any other league in the United States. It's set calories, revenue sharing. It's just better.
Complete split, but it's better because when you completely split the TV revenue between 32 teams, and you can do it because there's no regional revenue. So there's no regional sports network carrying NFL games.
That's the big thing.
The Fox, the national TV broadcast can easily be split between the 30 teams. That's not realistic in baseball. The Yankees, the Yes Network with the Yankees, they have their own channel. So the team like the Marlins who's on a regional network's not going to make as much. And this happens in the NBA too. They have their regional networks. The NHL has their regional networks. And by the way, shout out to the NHL. They've actually had the lead. They've been very harmonious. Their players and owners, and they're going to be ready to go with a fantastic playoffs. But it's really unsettling for sports right now and for baseball in particular.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys are more knowledgeable about baseball than me, is what do you guys think it's going to be like having no minor league system? Who do you think it's going to hurt more? The teams that are better, like the Yankees, the Red Sox, or the teams that are rebuilding, like my Orioles?
It doesn't. I don't think it affects them at like what you're thinking, Mark. I think it more affects everyone harmoniously. I think it's going to affect everyone pretty much equally because I don't know if you know how much minor league trading goes on within the year. Minor league players are moved around like pawns, and it kind of it's more like
Rule 5 picks. There's so many different.
So they don't directly affect the exact team. Like you like teams occasionally, like the Braves did, they'll get a really good farm system and it'll come up and it'll show up. But like the Red Sox, the Red Sox always have a good farm, but they trade them all away. They basically not many actually get.
Well, the Red Sox are unique because former GM Dave Dombrowski just didn't believe. Basically, just went all in every year.
Yeah.
It worked in 2018. Yeah. But it's gonna hurt teams that can't make a mistake. When you're a small market team, you can't make a mistake. Mm-hmm. Your scouting, your big picks have to be on point. And it's less likely that's going to happen during a time like this with less minor league, less scouting reps, less numbers to put into the database for the analytics. And it's going to hurt the small market teams. And it's going to hurt any team that's not a good team at the major league level right now.
That's just part of the reason I can't fully buy into the MLB and the length of the regular season.
I think the MLB would be really exciting this year if they could just get a fucking deal done. The short season would be
Well,
so fun to
exactly. It'd be
watch.
exciting.
It would be so fun to
Once
watch.
the millionaires and billionaires stop
Yeah.
bickering, and the conversation becomes how great of a year and how many great storylines there'd be, I think it can be a fantastic
Also,
season.
being
I'd
a
be really
little
excited for it.
selfish, we need a single major sporting event to occur and come back before the fucking NFL, or else the NFL being guinea pigs is going to be a shit show.
Well,
For
the
who's the
MLB is
first
just
one.
totally fucking up with this because they could be adding so many additional fans with no sports going on right now. And what's going to happen when they play 90 games this year and it's fun and it's
Oh, they're
exciting?
not playing
Well,
90
they're not.
games. They're gonna play.
They're-
They're gonna
they're
play.
gonna play around
I'm
with
just
it.
saying. I'm just using that as an example. If they play 50 games or 90 games, do they ever go back to the 162?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No sport is ever gonna shorten their regular season. It's too much money
Mhm.
lost. No sport will do it.
Well, I think you can
Ever.
make up for the money by having it be more exciting because more people are going to be watching.
No, you know what though? A lot of people watch it already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you trust me. The amount of money that goes into each game is it's people don't realize it. You get 30,000 people on average attend an MLB game. You include that with every $10 beer, $5 hot dog, tickets, resale markets, parking. It's a lot of money. And you know what? The regional ratings in baseball are so strong already. They want every game. Yes, nationally, it's not as big as it used to be, but the amount of revenue every game pulls in regionally is something people don't realize. It's actually, I think, in 14 of 17 markets where there was an MLB and an NBA team, the MLB team rated higher last year. So it's one of those things. They're going to keep the 162. They just need to do a better job marketing the sport, promoting the sport as something people actually want to watch, and not baseball this, baseball that. We got to change this, change that. Sport's just fun.
Coming this Monday or tomorrow.
Hold on, before we move on to that.
No. I'm gonna say coming this Monday. The best thing that's going on in baseball right now is that Rob Manfred may be out of a job after. If you guys don't know what's going on, the Yankees and Rob Manfred seem to have had a nice little scandal together, and there's a letter detailing how he or what's thought to be how he was covering up the sign stealing scandal for the Yankees is set to be opened on Monday. And if it's what everyone thinks it is, Rob Manfred will no longer be the commish of baseball. He will be gone, and
I don't think they're going to get rid of Rob Manfred
if
now.
that comes
I don't
out,
agree with
he's
that.
gone.
Because it's not going to come out and conclude itself in a week. Here's the deal with Manfred. Manfred, right now, you cannot jettison the commissioner, and the owners won't do it because the owners like the way he's negotiating. You cannot jettison the commissioner in the midst of labor strife right now, and they can't because this is a build up to 2021. The bottom line with this incident, if he fully sealed it, if he actually hit it to the extent that it's being alleged that he did, then yeah, you might be right. Maybe it would be such an extreme situation that they would. But basically, the letter's saying is that the Yankees, because we already know the Yankees were given penalties for what they did with the dugout phone and the Apple Watch incident. I think it was in 2017. But if they actually stole signs the level the Astros did, or even the level the Red Sox did, even though the Red Sox were mostly exonerated, even though Cora got fired, it's going to be just the idea of covering it. Because then people are going to think, what other teams did it? What else is Manfred hiding? Can he trust
I know we
him?
briefly touched on it on a previous episode, but I think the Astros weren't given a severe enough penalty. I think they should have been. I think they should have been stripped of their World Series championship.
Yeah, but they suspended. They basically got rid of the GM and owner. You could make the argument. I get it. I hate what the Astros did. It's just the only problem is the Patriots didn't lose their Super Bowl from spying during multiple Super Bowls.
Well, it's two different situations. I agree. Maybe the Patriots should have too, but taking away draft picks in the MLB is not as effective as it is in the NFL. A first round draft pick in the MLB
I agree with that.
A very shot in the dark, especially in the back half of the first round.
But speaking of what Manfred did, Roger Goodell allegedly burned the tapes of Spygate.
Well, you guys,
he's still
know
there.
how I feel about Roger Goodell. I despise him.
I mean, I know we're not Roger Goodell fans, but the number one indicator of whether a commissioner is going to stay in his job is if he makes the owners money. And Roger Goodell makes the owners a fortune.
Yeah, and you gotta protect your most valuable franchise, and that's probably what Rob Manfred did.
And if that's the case, and he did that because the Yankees probably might have the biggest fan base in professional sports, then Shame on him. Like Zach said, he should be jettisoned.
Yeah, but connecting this back to the NFL, if NBA isn't able, basically, if these top players for the NBA don't go down to Orlando and say, you know what, we're not comfortable with this, and then the MLB is just in such a shit show of a situation, really no one knows if they're going to play or not. I mean, you would like to think that they will, but you don't know. If the NFL is the first major sport to go back and play, like,
I mean, the NFL is just they're doing everything right this offseason by the virtual draft. They're just doing everything.
Well, I mean, they're making no-brainer decisions, though. They haven't been challenged. That's what Zach's saying.
Well, they're making no-brainer decisions that no other major sport can make, apparently.
Well, that's because they're not in the same position, though. Yeah. You're comparing apples to oranges.
They're not in the same position. The NFL, the push hasn't come to shove yet for the NFL. It just has.
Sure, it has. They're already allowing people back in team facilities.
Yes.
Well, the push is coming to shove with John Harbaugh's comments this week, and when he was interviewed on 105.7 The Fan, he basically said the NFL's plan for reopening and what contact they can have is a mess. So it's going to happen in the NFL. As soon as training camp comes around, you already saw it in college football at the University of Houston having to shut down workouts. I mean,
that's huge. University,
like it's coming.
Alabama,
for
5 players tested positive. It's not as cut and dry as what people thought it was going to be early summer. Even we thought it would be. We were very skeptical, but even we thought it'd be more cut and dry than this. I mean, Houston already shut down workouts. They were on campus for less than a week. They had to shut down.
I mean, if you're gonna get
it's gonna come back.
It will resume. You're right.
No, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come
every
back.
time
it has to.
But if every time someone tests positive, they shut down like that, the season's going nowhere. So.
I mean, love the protests or hate the protests, but that was the end of quarantining and all that. It's over for me and a lot of people in the United States.
Well, yeah, no, 100%, because you can't, especially with the vitriol people got for the anti-lockdown protests.
I mean, it's just
you can't. There can't be a double standard. People weren't able to attend funerals of loved ones, and all of a sudden now everyone's going outside. I mean, it's definitely going to be hard to tell a small business owner they can't do business when there's 100,000 people marching in Washington D.C. So that's another good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's over now, and it's time to open everything back up. It's time to get sports going again.
But it may be time to open everything up. It may be time to get sports going again. And I completely agree with you on that. But we're still looking at when a player tests positive.
It's still going to be hard.
Happens. And
it's going to be. It's gonna be a constant.
It's gonna be a huge, but that's why I want personally. I don't like the NBA. I could care less. So I want them to come back first in this bubble system. Where what happens when one player tests positive? Because I believe it will.
I don't look at it any differently than Tom Brady spraining his ankle and he's out for 2 weeks. I don't look at it any different than I look at it from that angle.
Are you sure about that?
I know it's
Tom Brady's sprained ankle isn't going to spread to his wide receiver.
I know that, but I'm just saying you can't, just because one player gets injured or one player catches corona.
And maybe on the Eagles it does.
If one player catches coronavirus, you can't shut down the whole entire league. You got to keep it going.
You can shut down the other players on the team, though, that are closely in contact with them, though.
Well, like I said, if LeBron James tests positive and has no symptoms before the NBA Finals, you're telling me they're going to play the Finals like it's normal?
You have to.
No one will watch. You saw what happened last. You can't.
Have to. You can't just.
LeBron's the whole league. You can't. You don't care. Like, come
once
on,
you set the precedent that we're going and this thing's happening, you can't just shut it down because your star player catches coronavirus. If Fuckstein McGee on the Utah Jazz, whatever, if some 12th man on the bench catches coronavirus, you're not shutting down the league. But if LeBron does, you're shutting it down. Come on.
Oh, he's not talking about.
Yeah, you are.
The other players on his team that he's contacted, are they not allowed to play now? Or how's that going to work?
They're not going to be in contact anymore. Once you find out he has coronavirus.
Yes, but we know that's not how it works.
So you think the NBA, which had its worst finals ratings in 7 years, coincidentally the last time LeBron was in the final, it might have been 8, I don't even remember, is gonna play a finals without LeBron? You're crazy.
So this is how I view it in my mind. If LeBron, say, tests positive for coronavirus, game 2 of the NBA Finals, you test everybody else on the team, and if, say, a certain, 3 or 4 guys also test positive, then you postpone the series. But if it's just him, then you got to keep it going.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that because logistically you might have to, but I'm saying they won't do it. The NBA prioritizes their stars and sets things up for their stars more than any other league because, like we said, it's a player-driven league.
It's a competitive imbalance because when Drew Brees got injured last year, the NFL wasn't like, hold on, guys, we got to put the season on pause because Drew Brees is injured.
Okay, but that's an injury, though. This is
No,
different.
how is it different? You're missing games because you're sick. It's the same as you're missing games because you're injured.
I mean, I guess technically it's the same. Yeah, maybe you're right. It is technically the same, but I'm just saying because you know for a fact when he's going to heal. I mean, you don't know for a fact someone's going to come off most injuries. You know for a fact that in 2 weeks, especially because for LeBron James, the probability of this virus actually harming him is lower than him being struck by lightning or jumping off a cliff. Then you know that in 2 weeks, if he quarantines, you can continue the series. And I can't see the NBA not doing that.
And this argument right here is exactly why I want the NBA or the MLB to come back before the NFL, because I don't want to be having this argument about what's going to happen when the NFL rolls around. I want it to be kind of something that we've seen, figured out, tested, and we kind of have a general consensus on what works going forward. I really don't want this the first league doing this is the NFL because it won't be as good. I think it.
I agree. Do you want to see?
I know the whole thing is complicated, but I feel like a lot of these leagues are overly complicating this. I mean, I think you have to get things going. If you're the MLB owners, you just gotta fucking pay these guys. You gotta get the season going.
Well, they're businessmen. You don't own an MLB team, get that rich by making bad business decisions, and from their perspective, it's a bad business.
Well, I think it's a bad business decision to
concede prorated salaries.
I think it's a bad business decision to cancel the entire season by prolonging.
I agree, but you know what? From their perspective, they're not going to hurt their bottom line and pay prorated salaries when they don't think the players deserve prorated salaries.
It's going to hurt their bottom line when they lose 10 million fans because they're too greedy to pay.
Well, I agree with that, but they're not thinking like that. It's unfortunate because they will lose fans. I'm going to watch less for sure if they keep this shit going, and then Rob Manfred unilaterally imposes a 50-game season.
I don't even think these players deserve 100% of the salary, but at some point you have to give in to their demands.
No, you don't. Unfortunately, that's why 1994 happened. They don't have to do anything. It hurts the players more than the owners. A lot of players, and not just the MLB. A lot of these guys aren't millionaires. A lot of these guys have their few years. They make $100K and $500K, and they're done.
Key contract in baseball aren't millionaires. They don't.
Plus the employees, the minor leagues. I mean, it hurts everybody for this to take this long.
I want to get into more. Will Kaepernick? Do we think he's going to get an opportunity this year? I kind of want to hit on that now.
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't think he even wants to play in the NFL. I think it's all a publicity stunt at this point. And listen, I don't care what your politics are. If you can play, I think you should be given an opportunity to do so. But we saw last year when he was given an opportunity for a workout, he changed locations at the last minute. He was also given an opportunity to play in the XFL, but he also said he didn't want to play because they weren't offering him enough money. At some point, you have to say, I don't care about the money. I just want to play football. I just want an opportunity to watch to have people watch me and give me an opportunity in the NFL. So I don't think he even wants to play football, to be honest.
And never forget when his girlfriend, the Ravens were an inch away from signing him, and his girlfriend called the owner, Steve Bisciotti, a slave owner, and Ray Lewis and Uncle Tom. I mean, that's a pretty bad look. That's not something that, I know that was his girlfriend, not him, but that's not something that you should have tweeted out. And I agree with Mark. I think Kaepernick likes the position he's in because right now he's a martyr in a lot of eyes. People look at him and they say, well, he's getting screwed, this and that. But the reality is if he comes back and he struggles and he's the backup quarterback and doesn't make as many headlines, he even said, too, a year ago that he wouldn't even kneel anymore. Now, that might change now with everything going on, but I think he won't get an opportunity because I don't think he wants to, and you don't want a backup quarterback who creates headlines. The backup quarterback's supposed to be quiet, help the starter out. Like you shouldn't want to know who your backup quarterback is on your team. That's why Tim Tebow didn't get an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a little bit different position where I think he could play as a backup, and I think he would be able to voice his opinion as backup, and I would think he would be able to talk about the social injustices that are in this country and what he thinks on a daily basis. But I'm with you guys. I don't think he really wants to play. I think, especially with the workout, the one that stood out to me was the workout last year that he made a big riff about. I mean, it was a whole big thing. And then he got his workout with a bunch of teams and he didn't show up to do it. Like that right there was like, really? Well, like they're giving you your shot now.
He wanted a camera crew to be there. He had
Yeah.
all these stipulations, and he was like, "I need to do an interview in front of these cameras." And the whole time, the camera crew was looking down at his Nike shoes, where they custom made a shoe for him.
He makes a lot of money off
It was
that
basically
too.
just an advertisement for Nike. I don't even think it was like a real give me a chance to play. The NFL has gone out of their way multiple times to give this guy an opportunity, and every time he's made more excuses on why he can't do one thing or another. And I'm just sick of him, to be honest.
I mean, and you know what else too? He was in Miami for a workout. He wore a Fidel Castro T-shirt to a press conference. Like that the lack of common sense to do that. I mean, I don't think he's like I don't think he has any common sense. I mean, it's
If
really
he wanted to play. No.
he also wore
He has lack
socks.
of common sense if he wanted to play.
Exactly.
wanted to
That's what I
play.
mean. Exactly. Thanks for clarifying. That's a good point because that's what I
Yeah.
mean by that. Because he also wore socks depicting police officers as pigs. So the point the reason I mentioned that is not to bash him personally. If you want to play and be a backup quarterback, you have every right to speak, say what you want. But from an NFL team's perspective, you don't want a backup quarterback who's going to create a lot of headlines. And him being there is going to create a lot of headlines. It's the same thing for Tim Tebow. It's the same for other backups in different positions. That's all this is
And
about.
I think the narrative has been written a little differently than what it actually is, because like the Ravens were going to give him a shot. Teams last year at the workout were going to give him a shot if he could play. He didn't. He something happens where every time where he doesn't take advantage of that shot. And
Listen, I'm sorry, but if you're as passionate about playing in the NFL as Colin Kaepernick says he is, I don't care. If you give me an opportunity to be the 10th string quarterback in training camp, I'm going to take that opportunity. I'm going to do everything I can to prove you wrong and
prove
I'm
why
an
you
NFL
belong
caliber
there.
quarterback.
Yes, every other NFL player would go and prove why they belong if they really feel that they belong in the NFL. Not many other NFL players get their own special private workout to prove why they belong. Most of them have to go try out to get on a team.
That's a great point.
That's and he didn't do it. He didn't go through with his own plan, which basically comes to why we have the conclusion that he doesn't necessarily want to be in the NFL. He wants to have this platform, which he's on, and he does use his platform well to voice what he thinks is right and what his opinions on what's going on in the country are. And no one's sitting here saying his opinions are wrong or against his opinions. We just are talking more on the football side. We think that he doesn't necessarily want to play. But we're going to go ahead and hop into our top 5 QBs conversation. Mark, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I think this could have a debate at number 1 here between Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson, but I think I'm gonna have to put Russell Wilson here and Patrick Mahomes at number 2.
Whoa!
No,
really?
Thanks.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I guess maybe your Patrick Mahomes disappointing in the Super Bowl comment is. Has Luke Schenkel been whispering in your ear this whole podcast? And I'm not aware of?
I think Luke is in his room right now. Actually,
I think clearly Luke's in his room, just maybe just has a gun to his head.
I've been anti Russell Wilson since he got drafted, and I will be the first to admit that I used to think he was a bust his first 2 or 3 years. Although this guy's sorry as shit. He's not as good as everyone says he is. And I thought he had a couple fluky years, but eventually he won me over, and I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
Listen, he is fantastic. He carries a great load. He's easily number 2. Any Ravens fan who thinks Lamar Jackson is better than Russell Wilson, that's not a knock on Lamar Jackson. Lamar's awesome. Gonna get better each year. Russell Wilson is by far and away the second best QB in football, and he's right behind Mahomes.
I don't think anybody does more with less than Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
The
but
stats,
Mahomes does more with everything. Mahomes' capabilities are just ahead of Russell Wilson's. Got a little, and Russell again. It's hard to say because Russell Wilson's amazing at everything. Russell Wilson's probably one of the best, most accurate deep ball throwers you'll ever see. His decision making is unparalleled. But there are one limitation with Russ, and this is nitpicking. When you're his height, sometimes you create your own pressure, having to maneuver around and get a throwing lane. So I think Mahomes just has a little more physical talent. Remember, Mahomes, in addition to the big plays, he's so consistent with the 5-yard cross, the 6-yard out. He puts the ball in the money every time. He barely makes any turnover worthy plays.
I don't even. It's so hard. Both those guys are so good. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes is better than Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
Oh, not even close. Aaron Rodgers not even my top 5 QBs.
Not now.
Anymore.
I'm talking about when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime.
That's a good debate for another day. That's close. Aaron Rodgers from about 2010 to 2014 or so was probably had the greatest 5 years. Might have had the greatest 5-year stretch in NFL history.
Yeah.
But in the last few years, Aaron Rodgers has been very.
Another
smart.
reason why I have Russell Wilson over Patrick Mahomes is because Patrick Mahomes. It's only been 2 years. I know AFC Championship 2 years ago and Super Bowl last year, but I just want to see a couple more seasons of him being this good.
Well, that's a pretty impressive resume.
I know it's an impressive resume, but I think he will be number one.
But let's not forget that Russell Wilson, the year he won the Super Bowl, he was less impactful than Patrick Mahomes was in his Super Bowl team.
It's another fair argument. I think it's so close. I think it's 1A, 1B. Flip a coin.
Yeah. I think everyone. I know me and Rugg have the same top 3. For me, it's Mahomes, Russell, Lamar.
I don't know. I'd be curious. Yeah, actually, Lamar's not my number 3 QB.
I know Mark is.
It's not a knock on Lamar. When I rank QBs, I kind of look at who I want in a
You're
big
a traditional
game in the Super Bowl right now.
You don't.
Well, no, I love Lamar. He's definitely up there, but I still think that Tom Brady still deserves to be number 3.
No, I don't.
Tom Brady. This was not his struggles last year. Were not about him. They were about the team around him, and he is going to thrive in Tampa this season. He's still so cerebral, so accurate, such a quick decision maker. And in a big game, I mean, he's got 6 Super Bowls, and it makes me throw up to say, I'm Patriots hater number 1. I'm driving the bandwagon, but Tom Brady's still my 3rd best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, I think I hate Tom Brady more than both of you combined when he fucked me out of a couple $100 in that Super Bowl when Atlanta threw a 28-3 lead. I mean, nobody could hate Tom Brady more than me.
Yeah, you hate him because he's good. But that was what a godly comeback.
What's your 3,
he's
4
going
mark?
downhill quick for 3 years now, and he hasn't taken a step backwards. I've been saying he's going to lose a step for 3 years now, and he hasn't done it.
He's got his fucking cheat code program that he.
I don't know how he does it. He's going to be playing in the NFL till he's 60. So,
well, what's your 3, 4 mark?
Yeah, I think I'm with Rugg. I think Tom Brady is number 3, and I think I have Lamar number 4.
I just don't.
Wow, I never thought I'd be the lowest on Lamar. So my number 4 is Drew Brees.
What the hell?
What do you mean? What the hell? Drew Brees is
Rugg,
still.
I don't understand
productive.
how you're not.
Well, Drew Brees isn't even in my top 5 anymore.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Did something? What, he had one bad game against Minnesota? That's it.
Fucking Lamar is. You can't contain him.
He is a noodle arm now.
What are you so low on Lamar for?
I'm not low on Lamar. I literally talk about how good Lamar is every episode.
I don't know. He's
just got it. He played 2 seasons. He's gotten better every season. He's amazing, but he's in a system that's specialized for him. Drew Brees is super accurate. He's still a super quick decision maker. He's in more command of that offense than any QB is in football. Now that Peyton's gone, Drew kind of took that role. And I'd be the first to admit I criticize him for his playoff talk. I think he might fall off a cliff this year, but right now, based on what I saw last season, he still deserves to be number 4. And then I'll let you guys go out for number 5.
I got Aaron Rodgers at 5.
Drew Brees at 5.
Aaron Rodgers.
I got Drew Brees on a fringe 5. I think the drop off between 4 and 5 for me is big.
I don't know how you guys.
So my number 5 is.
I don't know how you guys are taking Drew Brees over Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Because he wins. Because Drew Brees wins.
That's not ridiculous at all. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been productive in the last few seasons. Aaron Rodgers was like the 15th greatest graded QB from PFF last year. Drew Brees was in the top 3. Aaron Rodgers literally throws the ball away if there's not a guy wide open. Aaron Rodgers' passer rating is his stat because he takes no risks.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers has last year was overrated. And his dick in his hand. Drew Brees has Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and the list stops there.
That's true, but Aaron Rodgers has not been as productive the last few seasons. So I don't have him in my top 5. He's 7th for me. My 5th is Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh my
God, dude!
My
AFC North
this might have been Rugg's worst list. After 1 and 2, this might be Rugg's worst list overall.
Yeah, this list by Rugg is atrocious.
It's a very reasonable
It's not.
list. Then Lamar comes.
It's not. You have no clue what Big Ben's gonna do this year. He's not that.
I've seen
Oh
Big
my.
Ben. I've seen Ben Roethlisberger play for 10 years. He's 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Just because the Ravens have
Dude
been
moves
fucked
around
by him,
impossible.
it doesn't mean he's a top 5 QB right
No,
now.
it's not about him being fucked by anything. Ben Roethlisberger's been dominant in the stat sheet, dominant all over the field for the last many years before last year when he got hurt. His capabilities as a quarterback are
I guess
fantastic.
I'm just way
He
lower
carries
on
a
him.
huge
Well, he's
load.
also what,
And Lamar,
37 now?
when I rate QBs, Lamar, the fact that Lamar being 6 on my list after 2 seasons is a compliment for Lamar. Is I don't move
Well,
QBs
Patrick
off my
Mahomes is
top.
number 1 on your list
Period.
after 2 seasons. So, I mean, come on.
Okay, that's Patrick Mahomes though. He's been to an AFC Championship, won a Super Bowl, and he's the most talented QB we've ever seen.
Okay, but the
Patrick
Lamar's
Mahomes is unique.
Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Lamar's just a different QB. He's probably one of the most talented players you ever see.
I agree. Lamar's amazing. That doesn't mean he's automatically put in the top 5 yet. He won an MVP. He's fantastic, but he's also
That
remember
is-
I hate
This
arguing
is
against him
this
because
is
Lamar's so good
blasphemy.
at so many
This
things.
is blasphemy. I can't believe
Why? I
how
don't
is
understand why it's
Drew
blasphemy.
Brees above
the ranked
Lamar
6th.
Jackson right now. I mean,
You're acting like Drew Brees is this.
no,
Bad
I have Drew Brees at
quarterback.
5 because he wins, but Lamar won too, and he is a god.
He is a guy, but he's done it for 1 season, and he's at 6. That's a compliment. That's the ultimate compliment. He was
You have
amazing for
Big
1
Ben
season.
over Lamar?
I don't know how he can critique me having Russell Wilson over Patrick Mahomes when his whole argument for Lamar is only 2 seasons.
I mean, I don't make QB lists over half of it over 1 season. You don't. What do you guys do? Change your top 5 QBs by 10 people every?
No,
offseason?
but a couple, yeah.
Yeah, but you slot around 4 or 5 guys.
You act like I ranked him 15th. He's 6th.
Oh my god.
I think it's a little low.
You think he's at 15? You're the guy who's criticized Lamar Jackson. Let's say he can't throw the football in other episodes, and I rank him 6th, and you act like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I just do that to troll you. I do think Lamar is a very good quarterback.
That's good. That's good to know. At least you didn't put Haskins in your top 5.
Well, Haskins
will be in my top 5 next year.
Haskins
why-
is down
why can't
7% body fat and 12 pounds. You love to
Yeah,
see
he's
that.
looking,
we'll see
he's
what he
looking like a
does.
fucking Super Bowl MVP right now.
I have nothing against Dwight Haskins. I just have to keep your expectations in check. But I mean, I love Lamar Jackson. It's not even meant to criticize him. We all know his strengths.
I just can't get over Big Ben being over Lamar.
Have you forgotten how good Big Ben
Yes,
is?
he hasn't played last year, and he's fucking 37 and fat.
So again, it's like you said, you make lists based on
Oh
one
my
season.
god,
Is what you're telling me? Because Big Ben, what do you mean?
he's fat as shit.
No, he's not that fat, but you have to take last season into consideration. He's 37.
I am taking into consideration
season-ending injury. You have to take that into consideration.
Okay, so tell you what, I don't make my list based on injury. If he's hurt, obviously he falls down. If he's
what
hurt.
made you say he was a top 5 quarterback last year?
Because I think he's going to be healthy, and because he's a consensus top 5 quarterback when he's healthy, and I'm assuming he's going to be healthy again.
All right. Well, I've ran out of steam for this one.
Well,
I don't agree.
I mean, you act like I ranked
But
Lamar 20th. He's 6th. He's probably going to go up at this season if he takes.
Then
another
we're
step
ranking
forward.
QBs now. If you're predicting him to go up, then
No, I didn't predict anything. I said if he takes another step forward, he's going to go up. We're ranking QBs by who in a big game has the best chance to win and who carries the biggest overall.
yeah, we'll get a bet off the air on this one. I'll take Lamar being something. I mean, I don't know. I'll find a way
let's do AFC South because we did promise we'd do it, so let's do it. Even if we don't go in as depth as we said we are as.
I don't want to short it. I don't want to short it. I'd rather hold.
We don't have to short it, but we don't have to be on time constraints. Let's just do it because we promised we would.
I'll start it off. I think the Colts are going to win the division. I love what they did this offseason. I mean, I know the DeForest Buckner trade, giving up a first rounder for a D tackle, is usually bad practice, but for them, it's going to help them. They had to make their defense more physical. Their receiving core is much more versatile than it was. Now they have Michael Pittman. They got more possession receivers. They are well coached. I think Frank Reich is the best. Him and Mike Vrabel, the 2 best coaches in the division. I think Phillip Rivers with a good O-line is going to improve, even though my Phillip Rivers criticism is always there with his noodle-ass arm. And I like the Colts to win the division.
Well, I hate to say I agree with you, but I have to because what the hell is the Houston Texans doing? Are they playing fantasy football? I mean, is Bill O'Brien, is he trying to get fired? I don't understand what that DeAndre Hopkins trade was. I know we touched on that on episode 1. They brought in Randall Cobb in the offseason, and they traded for Brandon Cooks, but they didn't have any first-round draft picks this year, and they took Deshaun Watson's fifth-year option, and they took David Johnson as part of that D-Hop trade. That's just he's the most
This is a disaster.
he's the most overpaid running back in the NFL. He can't stay healthy. He's past his prime. The Houston Texans are trying to give the Colts that division, so for that reason, I have to agree with you. I think the Colts are winning that division next year.
Yeah.
Do you think the Titans are second?
Yeah, I think they are.
I do too. I think Houston goes down.
I think they're borderline a wild card team, but we touched on it earlier. I think the AFC is going to be a lot better this year. I think the Steelers, the Broncos, and the Titans are going to be fighting for a couple wild card spots.
Yeah.
Browns.
Yeah, maybe the Browns too, but I'm never betting for the Browns. I mean, just based off their history, I'm never betting on them to succeed.
Losing is in their DNA.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I'm betting on them right now. I'm taking the Browns to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, that's just absurd. And then we got to touch on the Jags a little bit. They took C.J. Henderson with their 9th pick, and then Kayla Chasen with their 20th, Laviska Shenault in the second round. I actually like what they're doing, but that organization is run so poorly with Leonard Fournette and Yannick Ngakoue both wanting out. They don't know what they're doing in that organization. We don't know what we have with Gardner Minshew. So I like the direction they're going in, but I think it's a little hectic right now.
The first coach that's going to be fired this year, I wish there was a prop for it, is Doug Marrone. They're not. They don't have the patience to let him sit through a rebuild. He's kind of a quirky personality, a little hard to work with. Unless Gardner Minshew is this great QB, who's this legend who actually shows it on the field, they're going to be the 4th in the division by far. They're just not. Their defense isn't good anymore. Their D-line is weak. They've gotten decimated on their D-line. They lost Ramsey and Bouye in the last year, and they couldn't even win with those guys in Blake Bortles. So it's going to be a struggle for them.
Yeah,
I think the real debate in this division is, do the Titans repeat what they did last year?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think that the 1 and 2 I think is pretty clear cut. I think
the Titans are just trying to be a version of what they were last year. They drafted Jack Conklin's replacement in the first round, re-signed Ryan Tannehill to that absurd contract for no reason. They franchised Derrick Henry. They added Vic Beasley in free agency. They improved a little bit on the D-line. But I think they're pretty much have the same exact team as they did last year. Maybe even
they caught lightning in a bottle. You're not going to get the same level of running production over a full season from Derrick Henry, that O-line, and the run scheme and Tannehill's play action as you did. I think they're gonna be right in the 8-8, 9-7 range, and if that's good enough to win the division, it is. But I disagree with what Zach said. I think these 1 through 3 could finish anywhere. I have so much respect for Deshaun Watson that it would not surprise me one bit if he actually.
Well, so do I. I really love
Deshaun
Watson.
Title.
It's just that organization is run so poorly; they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's why he's not going to be. That's why I don't think they're going to win the division. But I don't think it's clear cut. I think all 3 teams, you can make a case.
But I think this division is really interesting because what if Jacksonville's in the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields debate next year? What if Deshaun Watson has a down year, and what if they look to trade him? What if he goes to a team like the Patriots? What if he gets traded there? I mean, you never know. It's going to be an interesting division in 2-3 years.
Yeah, more than it's been in the past. Usually the AFC South's a snooze fest that we don't want to talk about, but the Titans are more interesting in the years past. Deshaun Watson is one of the most exciting players in football, and I think the Colts are well run, and they're getting back to their glory days in some sense because we're always used to them being up top of the middle franchise in the AFC.
I think it comes down to, for the Colts, whether Phillip Rivers can carry the load or not this year.
Yeah, I don't think he can.
He won't carry a load. He just has to be decent.
Yeah.
He can't turn the ball over. He's going to be in position to succeed. He just needs, if he can avoid turnovers, I think he'll do well.
He was in a position to
because
his problem last year too. He had Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler.
No, but his line was terrible.
Yeah,
his offensive line's better, but he still threw more picks last year than he did touchdowns.
But that's a reason for it. His arm is so weak that if things around him break down and he doesn't read something perfectly, it's going to flow through a defender all day.
Yeah, and that's where the struggle, I think, comes from. And I think you might see the same thing a little bit this year because the arm talent didn't get better. It's probably worse. So we'll see how that goes.
Do we think he gets benched in the middle of the season for Jacob Eason?
No, unless they're out of it. He wouldn't get benched unless they're, and I don't think it'll happen because they're not gonna. I don't think they're too good they're too well coached to just fall apart, and that division isn't good enough for it to happen. So unless they're like 2-7,
I
some
don't think
garbage
that's gonna
record, they're
happen.
not. No, it won't. It won't happen at all unless there's an injury.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Titans are always slept on. It seems like they're 8-8 every year. They're always in the.
No, you know the
running.
Titans are. Yeah, you know they're going to be in the running. You know they'll be right there.
But they're not going to be slept
Yeah,
on this year. People after last year are going to if anything, they'll overreact. I think second's a good. If I were to say what I think will happen in the division, I would go Colts, Titans, Texans. But that could easily be. They could all be separated by a game.
I think they will be. I think you're right. I think they will be separated by a game. I take back what I said earlier. I think they will be all separate right there, pretty much even. Just because I don't think Phillip Rivers is enough of a talent to take the Colts and put them head and shoulders above. Now I do think they're in the best position to be head and shoulders above the rest, but.
That just makes me feel bad for the Colts and their fan base because what if they still had Andrew Luck? That's easily a Super Bowl contending team.
Hey, we still got 2 months for Andrew Luck to say I'm back. So
well, even if
where would you guys rank Andrew Luck if he was still playing?
Well, he's definitely in the top 5. I'd have to put him over. I think I'd put him right where Lamar is and take Aaron Rodgers.
I'd put him third.
Take Aaron Rodgers on my top 5.
I'd put him 3.
Andrew Luck is just so good. It's a shame that all of his injuries happened before he finally got an offensive line.
I'll put him 6 or 7.
Oh,
just because you can't put him at, you just don't know how it's going to be when he comes back. If he's back,
no, but you're going off what you've seen, though.
Yeah,
that's how, I mean, I guess we have a different philosophy in how we make these lists. I guess because I like to just go off how good on his best day he could be.
That's a potential list. That's not what they are. That's their potential.
Yeah, it is what they are. On their best average day, their average like 80%,
best average day
80% day.
Their best.
Yeah, I didn't communicate that very well. Basically, in a big game, is the guy's capable. It's kind of an average of his best day and how consistent he is.
We're making
That's
a big game top 5. Lamar's fucking number 32.
That's okay. Only been there in the league 2 years. I mean, that's where Eli Manning and Joe Flacco would round off that list.
I mean, you're not wrong.
January.
If I'm playing against the Patriots, I'm fucking taking Eli Manning every day.
Or Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco and Eli Manning just shit on the Patriots.
Eli Manning just robbed Tom Brady of 2 Super Bowls. I mean, I hate
history.
that because I'm a Redskins fan, but I also hate the Patriots. So.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get on out of here. We want to thank you guys for listening. And remember, if you do have questions, we want to hear them. We want to hear what you guys want to hear. So look out on Twitter every week for polls and whatnot on suggestions or what we thinking and what we want to hear your feedback so that we can put together the best show for you guys. And thank you for listening. And remember to give us a follow on the socials, and we will see you next week.